All right, what do we got here? Trump. I think this was during his Epstein cabinet meeting where he brought up, why are people still talking about Epstein? Why are people still talking about him? I don't like him. He's kind of icky and stinky. Which, I mean, good job, Trump, that you managed to get to that position. Jobosh, good job that you totally think that. But he's also like going after Zoran Mamdani because I don't know, he's a stinky communist. He's not a socialist. He's a communist, folks. Let me tell you that. He's also doing that whole like complete utter nonsense and shit like that. But what do we got here? He issues ominous threat to New York City over Dem nomination of Zoran Mamdani. Let's take a look.
Mr. President, on New York, you're the most prominent Republican country from the city. What do you want to...
Anywhere else? I don't want to be a wise guy, perhaps. Maybe Marco.
How do you want Republican voters in the city to vote in the upcoming mayoral election? Should they vote for Eric Adams? Should they vote for Sliwa? Should they pick someone else?
Look, number one, you have a communist running, and you should vote for him. He's a disaster. He's leading. He's got the Democrat nomination because that shows you where the Democrats have gone. He actually wants to take over the grocery.
Well, I mean, that's not the reason why he ended up winning the primary. It's because, again, Zohran Mamdani believes in things, and the Democrat general establishment doesn't believe in anything. And people are just like, we're going to vote for the guy who actually believes in stuff.
Grocery stores of John Catsimatidis, who's a great guy, a rich guy, grocer, does a good job.
Wait, who's the fuck is Josh Catsimatidis? Catsimatidis? Catsimatidis. I'm perceiving. Bro, this guy looks like a fucking complete fucking scumbag, dude. Yeah, dude. Zoran Mamdani's gonna like claim all of his like groceries or some shit. Like, guys, honestly, personally, I think maybe Zoran Mamdani should seize the means of production away from this dumbass. He's also a fucking radio talk show host, okay? So this guy's a complete fucking demon, alright?
Job wants to take over. He actually called me the other day. He's concerned his stores are going to be taken from him, and they won't be run like John runs them. Believe me, he runs a good operation. But he actually said he wants to run his own grocery stores. No, this is a.
I'm really curious. What are his like scandals? Actually, why don't we just look here? Is there anything? Political activities before mayoral campaigns. Well, he supported Scott Walker. That guy's a complete disaster. He's a supporter of Clinton. And donate to Hillary Clinton's was a member of Hillary Clinton's finance team. Very, very funny. Contributions to both Republican and Democratic campaigns. I mean, he just donates to whoever is going to make him more money, right? That's all he cares about. Also from Staten Island. Oh, no, he donated to people, someone in Staten Island. Okay. Donated to Bill Clinton during the Clinton years. While still enrolled as a Democrat, considered being a candidate in the 2009 mayoral election as a Republican. That's so fucking funny, dude. He was reported to be systemically wooing local Republicans. That's really, really goofy. I mean, he's just like again, like his whole thing is that he's just like I don't know, soulless billionaire dude. That's like really about it.
A man who's not very capable, in my opinion, other than he's got a good line of bullshit, and he's convinced them to go.
That's incredibly fucking rich coming from you, dude. Like a line of like bullshit, and it's incredible. Like, dude, you're like one of the con men in chief. You're currently a felon that's in power. Like, okay, bro, yeah. But Zohran Mamdani is the guy selling some bullshit. Like, I don't know. Yeah, keep puffing that copium, dude. Who's the guy who has like 6 bankrupted fucking businesses? Including a fucking casino? Imagine bankrupting a casino. That's incredibly rich coming from you.
Now, as you know, Cuomo does have capability as running, but he got knocked out, and now they're running as you have Eric Adams, the current mayor, you have Cuomo, and you have Curtis Sliwa.
Cuomo has not announced anything in terms of like an independent run. Not yet, at least. I don't think he's going to do it because he would mostly siphon votes away from, well, Eric Adams more than likely, which would only benefit Zohran Mamdani.
And Curtis runs every 4 years. He seems to be a fixture on the running scale. But you know, it's I'm not getting involved. But I can tell you this: I used to say we will not ever be a socialist country, right? Well, I'll say it again: we're not going to have. If a communist gets elected to run New York, it can never be the same. But we have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to. We can run D.C. I mean, we're looking.
Well, that's because like DC's not a state, and you have complete federal jurisdiction over DC. That's how it's written in the law. And like, what do you mean by that? You can like, what are you gonna try to occupy New York like you're trying to occupy LA? I wonder how that's going for you, Donald. Like, it's I bet that's going really really great for you. Do you really think that Zohran Mamdani, the same dude who yelled at Tom Homan, telling him to get the fuck out of here, like, is gonna take that shit like sitting down? Yeah, right. Like, again, in terms of like federal funds, because that's the only thing he can really do to New York. Again, the GDP of the city itself is in the trillions. It is one of the richest cities on the fucking planet in terms of just sheer raw like economic productivity. It outdoes most states economically speaking. Do you really, for even like a second, believe that Zohran Mamdani is just going to be like, oh no, you're going after me with the federal funds that we get so much of? Okay, I guess we'll just have to appropriate certain funds from the taxes that the New York governor is going to be like, I don't know, having to agree with or something. Like, do people, broadly speaking, understand just how ridiculous this is? Again, the point is he's trying to like strike fear into Zohran Mamdani, the same dude who yelled at Tom Homan. Like, I don't think it's gonna work. Like, we can get the clip, right? Zohran Mamdani yelling at Tom Homan. Like, what, you want to try to intimidate this guy? This dude. If YouTube could work. Like, you want to try to like intimidate this fucking dude? Really? This is the guy you're trying to intimidate? Sure, man. Yeah, you're definitely gonna intimidate that guy. Totally.
Looking at D.C., we don't want crime in D.C. We want the city to run well. Susie Wiles is working very closely with the mayor, and they're doing all right. I mean, in the sense that we would run it so good, it would be run so proper, we'd get the best person to run it.
I'm curious. Crime rate in DC. Higher than national average? What's the crime rate? I'm curious. Can I get like a graph or something? District crime at a glance. MBTs. So it's the Maryland Police Department or something. I want it for DC specifically. What's the crime rate in Washington, D.C.? In 2023, for every 100,000 people, there was about 1,200 violent crimes and 4,300 property crimes. Simply speaking, violent crimes are committed against people. Property crimes are not. Okay? These crime rates do not include every violent and property crime, but rather 4 violent offenses and 3 property offenses that have been tracked since 1929. Has it been going up? In 2023, both the violent and property crime rates in Washington, D.C. were higher than the 50-state average. Okay, so he's not lying about that. Good job, Trump. Violent crimes were robberies. It's higher than the average. I'm mostly trying to see if it's been going up. Has it been going up? Like in recent years? I want to, like, what I'm looking for is mostly like a trend. Oh, here we go. Between 2022 and 2023, the overall crime rate in Washington, D.C. increased by 24.3%. Okay. State level changes ranged from a 32.7 decrease in overall crime rate in Hawaii and a 16.8% increase in Maryland, which I think is mostly like DC that's more accounting for that. I'm curious as to why there was an overall crime rate increase between the years of 2022 and 2023. Could this be possibly attributed to the possibly like ineffectiveness by Joe Biden? I don't think that's like ridiculous to say, but it could be because of inflation, right? And a lot more people going into poverty because of inflation, right? I don't think that's ridiculous to say. Robbery, murder, larceny, everything has gone up except rape. Rape's been going down. Very, very cool. With Washington D.C. I'm trying to think of like what could possibly be like attributing this stuff. Yeah, I mean 50 state average is down. It seems very significantly up for Washington D.C., but Trump's never really honest about this. But whatever.
The crime would be down to a minimal, would be much less. And, we're thinking about doing it, to be honest with you. We want a capital that's run flawlessly, and it wouldn't be hard for us to do it. And we've had a good relationship
We're
with
still
them.
talking about Zohran Mamdani
testing it to see if it works.
apparently.
But New York City will run properly. We're going to bring New York back. I love New York. I love New York for a long time. Then we had a bunch of crooked people in there. You have an attorney general who's a total stone cold crook, New York State, Letitia.
Well, no, you're just mad that Letitia James is like trying to prosecute you for your crimes mostly. Like that's what you're mostly upset about. that's why you're calling her a supposed crook. So sure, man. Yeah, he probably wants like how many like Republican mayors have been in New York? Wasn't it like a streak of just Republican mayors in New York? What New York City mayors? I just want the recent stuff. Bill de Blasio. So here's Republican, then unaffiliated, still a Republican. So since like what, 1994 to 2013, it's about 20 years of Republican mayoralship within New York. And what happened to fucking New York? Well, it became like more of a fucking shithole because of these two motherfuckers. So crazy. Who would have thought? I don't even know if it's it became like more difficult to fucking live in there. That's mostly what I'm saying there. And then like what we had like Bill de Blasio pass like good housing initiatives and stuff like that. Didn't Bill de Blasio also freeze the rent? Quite literally, there was a time when Bill de Blasio even freezed the rent. He brought in like universal fucking pre-K and stuff like that. And there's like, you know, some stuff that's like we can look through in terms of what Eric Adams has done. That's like, oh yeah, this is like a good policy and stuff like that. Whatever. Broadly speaking, we know the meme. We know the meme.
James, a total crook. All they do is want to go after political opponents. They do whatever expeditious for them. She's the one that took out Cuomo because she wanted to run for governor, and then she ended up getting 1% of the vote. She polled at 1%. She dropped out, went back to attorney general.
Oh no. Andrew Cuomo has done a bunch of illegal stuff, like sue for gynecological records of the 13 women who credibly accused him of sexual assault. Like, I mean, but then again, like sexual assault sort of solidarity here between Donald Trump and Andrew Cuomo, as expected, of course.
We have a lot of crooked things going on in New York. We're going to straighten out New York. Maybe we're going to have to straighten it out from Washington. But when I see a communist who has actually gotten a Democrat, pretty much gotten a Democrat nomination, they also went to that new form of voting, which is a beauty. You go in there in third place, you come out in first. That's that form of voting that they have gone to.
It's not how ranked choice voting works. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Don? Like, Zohran Mamdani came out on top of the primary every single time during the 3 rounds of voting, and that didn't change. Like, he was first the whole primary. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, you idiot? And yeah, that's how ranked choice voting works. Like, it goes through multiple fucking rounds. Like, of course, the dude who, broadly speaking, like, does not believe in democratic principles doesn't understand how actual democracy works. So, whatever.
You know what I'm talking about. It's not too good. We're going to do something for New York. I can't tell you what yet, but we're going to make New York ready again.
Yeah, sure. Like, New York ready, what? They contribute more to the economy than they, I don't know, get from you. So it's silly. But what do we got here? Trump wants to straighten out New York. On the one hand, President Trump's threat of a federal takeover of New York if Zohran Mamdani becomes mayor was shocking, a menace of federal overreach, and an affront to self-governance through fair democratic elections. I mean, the thing is, again, like, Boy Meets Minnie, you can attest to this. This is exactly what's going on in LA, dude. It's a petri dish. It's a test. Like, I agree with Karen Bass when she says, like, this is like a test to see, like, yeah, we're gonna like see what's going on in terms of like LA. We're gonna see if we have to do like military occupation or some shit, you know, and like same shit. I can't imagine New York with all the people walking around or riding trains. Oh, I think it would be a complete fucking disaster, dude. So, you know, very, very cool. Yeah, a nice meme, AJ. I can't believe that you as a PA resident won't be voting for him. Inconceivable. Very cool. If a communist gets elected to run New York, it can never be the same. He's not like, I mean, he's a democratic socialist. Whatever. It's stupid. We have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to. Like what? Like you're gonna cut off some fucking federal funding? That's like all. Like that's the only thing you can do. You can't. He'll try to do illegal shit. Like I don't know, try to do a military occupation again. Like LA is the sort of like primary example here, right? Like he's gonna try to like federalize the National Guard against New York for what exactly? To come up with some like dumbass excuse when Zohran Mamdani decides to enforce New York City sanctuary city laws, because again, we all know why he probably wants like Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo to win, because again, he has leverage over them. It can you know, in terms of Andrew Cuomo, there's a DOJ investigation on him, which Trump can use and say like, listen, I can have the Attorney General take a look at this, Cuomo, and just like shake that in front of his face and just be like, Cuomo, I can have Pam Bondi come after you. And that's like what Trump has in terms of leverage over, well, Cuomo. And in terms of Eric Adams, like Eric Adams has literally said, like, I'll let you deploy ICE if you give me a pardon. So, like, he's only doing these threats because he's got no leverage over Zohran Mamdani, right? Like, there's no DOJ investigation going on. Like, he'll try to, like, sick DHS on him or some shit to try to make him comply. But I don't think, like, there's no way, like, Zoran's gonna tolerate any of that bullshit, right? Like, there's no fucking way. He'll just be like, get the hell out of here with this nonsense. Trump said in an extended riff Tuesday in which he criticized Washington's local government attorney general Letitia James and ranked choice voting. Yeah, criticize is a word that can be used. You have a lot of crooked things going on in New York. We're going to straighten out New York, he added. Maybe we're going to have to straighten it out from Washington. By, like, again, doing what? I mean, this is just like a repeat of the interview. It's really silly. On the other hand, the comments were just political saber-rattling, the natural escalation of a president who loves to shock with his rhetoric. That's true. I can't really disagree with there from Politico. In the 2 weeks since Mamdani's win, Trump went from threatening to pull federal funding, which he's done, like, at this point multiple times, if the mayor doesn't do the right thing. I'm assuming what he means by the right thing is letting Tom Homan and his like dumbass goons and like Kristi Noem arrive in her fucking cowboy hat and flak vest, just run around and gallivant about in New York City. I believe that this is what he means by do the right thing, which, yeah, the right thing for Zohran to do is to enforce the sanctuary city laws that exist within New York. So that's cool. To questioning his American citizenship and threatening to arrest Mamdani if he blocks ICE from doing criminal enforcement, which is illegal for him to do, but whatever. He doesn't give a shit about the rule of law. Republicans, totally the sort of state, like the party who cares about law and order, to now threatening to run the city from the White House. The only place Trump can go from here is threatening to convert Manhattan to a maximum security prison. Escape from New York style, or at least Astoria, so as to spare Trump Tower. That's true. Trump cannot take over New York City, but there are ways in which he can make life difficult. Columbia University legal expert Richard Briffault told Newsday in a story getting to the truth behind Trump's words. That includes federal lawsuits, targeted investigations into Mamdani or his allies, cutting funding, or even deploying the National Guard like he did in Los Angeles. That's the main thing that I'm mostly pointing to, which is, again, illegal, because you're supposed to consult with the governor. And I highly doubt Kathy Hochul is going to... I mean, is she going to, like, take it sitting down? Probably. But she's going to make, like, a fucking stink about it, similar to Andrew Cuomo, I think. Because, again, she also has, like, a re-election, and it's going to make her, like, look really good if Trump decides to federalize the National Guard against New York City and try to do, like, an LA-style, like, military occupation vis-a-vis, like, the deployment of ICE agents and also the National Guard of New York City, or not New York, but of New York State in this particular instance. And it would be very politically efficacious for Kathy Hochul to make a complete fucking stink about it, sue the shit out of Donald Trump if he tries to federalize the National Guard against, well, Zohran Mamdani, if/when he becomes the mayor of New York City. Trump has done this before. In September 2020, he labeled New York and others anarchist jurisdictions and threatened to restrict federal grants. Mayor Bill de Blasio's administration sued, but no money was ever withheld. Right, because again, like, it's illegal for him to do that, and there was, like, no way he could do it. But then again, that was, like, a more restrained Trump. So, whatever. Reportedly, since Congress controls spending, President Joe Biden lifted the executive order months later. But this is Trump too, and the president has been testing the limits of federal power and what the courts will permit. This is true. He has already yanked money meant to serve migrants out of a city bank account, and his mega bill is expected to reduce the flow of federal money to New York. Again, like, the thing is like, is this, like, really a big problem for New York? They can, like, broadly, I would say, like, they're probably able to sort of, like, weather a storm like this, like, more or less. It's again, he's, like, trying to do a bunch of, like, illegal shit for the sake of illegal shit, right? Because, you know, he doesn't care about law and order. He could give less of a shit about that. Mamdani didn't get in on the details, just saying at a press conference Wednesday that Trump spoke about democracy if it was something that he could either opt in or opt out of. Mayor Eric Adams has gone close with Trump, and his spokesperson, Kyla Mamlek Atlas, said City Hall doesn't take the threat of a federal takeover seriously. I mean, again, you're, like, serving the completely, like, Republican compromised incumbent here in terms of, like, Eric Adams, because he is wholeheartedly and completely and utterly fucking compromised. Like, that's not hyperbole to say. As Mayor Adams always says, stay focused, no distractions, and grind. The Adams administration is staying focused on delivering for the 8.5 million New Yorkers who call this city home, she said, making our streets safer, cleaner, and more affordable. Cool. I think that's really about it. So, Adams embracing childcare. I believe this is getting into more sort of, the electoral sort of stuff in terms of this. Yeah, I don't think this really matters at all. This is more of the sort of, like, election that's going on, not necessarily about Trump stuff. All right, cool, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, like, the basis of this sort of, like, threat that Donald Trump is trying to say here against Zohran Mamdani, again, the only reason why he's going with threats like this is because he's probably very, very fearful of what Zohran Mamdani is bringing to the table, right? Right, conclusion. Yeah, broadly speaking, like, we know exactly the reason why, like, Trump and, well, I mean, it's not only Trump. The reason why, like, Trump is saying this particular rhetoric about Zohran Mamdani is because he's afraid. He's afraid that Zohran Mamdani actually has, well, the balls in order to be able to stand up and enforce, like, New York City sanctuary city policies, which Eric Adams is seemingly ignoring because, again, he's a compromised candidate. Well, not candidate, incumbent, who has, DOJ charges swirling around him, and Trump is just, like, saying, like, listen, let me tell you folks, Eric, if you want to get a pardon and make sure that you don't get prosecuted for your federal corruption for being Turkey's strongest soldier, well, you know, I can easily waive that stuff for you. I can give you a pardon. Maybe the Chiefs of James won't go after you. Trust me, I know how that feels. And broadly playing off of Eric Adams's sort of like political corruption charges, and broadly speaking, the fact that he's as compromised and corrupt of a candidate as he is, to be able to just run roughshod on the city and just be like, yeah, well, we're just gonna deploy our little like Gestapo gremlin ghouls and just arrest a bunch of arrest a bunch of people in order to just deport them to a prison slave labor camp in El Salvador. I've said this point before. We know exactly what's up here, what's going on, the sort of like dynamics that are at play here. So it's really really something. Yeah, you know what? Maybe Eric Adams, if / when he loses, he will actually become Turkey's strongest soldier. Talking about like, let me tell you folks, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, greatest guy on the planet. Very, very cool, very good. But, broadly speaking, we know what's like going on here. Trump is just afraid that he won't be able to run roughshod on the city, that Eric Adams is just kind of like, I don't know, trying to offer up to him in like a silver platter and just like completely and utterly capitulate to him. And he's just afraid of the fact that Zohran Mamdani is like gonna be the one guy who basically stands up to him and says like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna tolerate any of this shit. Like, fuck you. Like, we are a sanctuary city. I'm going to enforce our local laws. You can cope and seethe about it. Simpler, like, kind of similarly to what it's going on in LA. Although, like, as you can probably attest yourself, Boy Meets Mini, like, the LAPD has been, like, sort of, like, I don't know if, like, complicit is the correct word, but sort of, like, kind of complicit in sort of, like, helping orchestrate the actions of ICE, mostly through doing crowd control of the protests. But, like, let's be honest here, they're not, like I said before, they're not just, like, grabbing random protesters, arresting them, and just, like, giving them to ICE. Sorely speaking. Yeah, they're not actively opposing ICE's presence here. And we can talk about, like, you can blame Karen Bass for not deploying the LAPD in order to actively oppose ICE's presence and stuff like that. But you can also kind of make the argument that this would kind of sort of be like a sort of escalatory sort of thing, that if the LAPD were to sort of block ICE's actions, what could possibly happen there? Would more National Guard troops be deployed by the Trump administration? My guess is probably yes. Would they sort of argue, saying like, oh, well, I can't believe that Karen Bass, that seditious conspiracy theorist or seditious conspiracist who's trying to stop the actions of our noble ICE officers and just wants to stop the actions and stop the arrests of all the criminal illegals. We're going to stop them, and we're going to arrest the mayor and the governor of California, and I don't know, try to do like some like crazy ass like military, I don't know, arrest of the governor and the mayor, because that's what would probably happen. Very highly legal, dubious stuff, blah 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 blah, right? I'm going on a little bit of a ramble tangent here. The overall conclusion is fairly obvious. He's afraid of the fact that the man right here who yelled at Tom Homan is not willing to tolerate any of ICE's bullshit, that just like them just gallivanting about, just arresting random people because of Stephen Miller's desire to have like ICE Gestapo quotas in place, and just basically speaking like arresting people to just have them all deported to like a prison slave labor camp in El Salvador, or maybe to like alligator Auschwitz. We're already getting testimonies as to the conditions that are in there. Are you sort of happy about like Americans? Are you happy to hear about the fact that the prisoners in there are getting fed like maggot infested food and stuff like that? It's a like no hyperbole. Quite literally, it's just a concentration camp. I don't think that's like ridiculous to say. So that's cool. That's great. It's fantastic that we've kind of like started to arrive at this like sort of like particular juncture. But again, Trump just doesn't like the fact that this man right here, this man Zohran, is willing to stand up to that complete utter nonsense and say, enough is enough. Someone needs to stand up to him and just say, you know what? Screw you. We're going to enforce our city laws, and I'm going to sort of like deploy the New York City police in order to stop and halt ISIS illegal actions, right? But then again, NYPD, not exactly a big fan of the sanctuary city-state laws, even though like the LAPD support them more. I'm like still going off of like on a particular tangent here. The overall point here is Trump is just afraid of the fact that he's going to be stood up to because he's a fragile, megalomaniacal child bully who just wants to be like, no, I want to have the silver spoon in my mouth at all times. You have to comply with me at all times. And he's just going to like throw like a hissy fit about it when like Zohran Mamdani decides to like resist, basically. I don't know. I think that's broadly speaking all that really needs to be said about that.